Okay, we'll get started on this session. This is on the opportunities in additive manufacturing for sustainable manufacturing in Industry 4.0. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to be the moderator for this session. We have a very light panel as part of this session. It's a combination of the machine manufacturers. We have Joe from US, and then we have the service providers. Guru Prasad and Nitin is yet to join, and then of course we have from the CAD point of view, Mr. Daniel, who is representing DESO. So it's a very elite panel. I will take about just a couple of minutes to introduce the session, and then we can get on with the panel. The Industry 4.4, which is going to be there for next 5 to 10 years. The key technologies which are being addressed as part of this is the smart manufacturing is one which we'll be talking a lot during this session. But apart from this, of course, we have the IoT, the cyber security, as well as the cloud computing, which are part of this. And to be a smart manufacturing, we will be leveraging all these things and then see how we can connect end to end of manufacturing, leveraging the additive manufacturing. When I say end to end, this is more in terms of right from the raw material which is required to produce the part to the tools which are required to manufacture the parts. Then of course managing the inventories, and then finally reaching the customer. That is where additive manufacturing is going to play a big role in each of these areas. Just want to give one of the example which we had in Honeywell. This is a part which was designed about 50 years back. This is one of our engine, a flight critical component. This is a bearing housing. And 50 years is too long a time. And then the supplier who was making this part was no more existing, but we still have about 15 engines which are flying. To make this part, if we had to go to the conventional way of manufacturing, it would have taken us more than 2 years, because we had to develop the new tools, the casting tools to make these part. But we could quickly do it out of additive manufacturing, and we could demonstrate that this part meets all the performance requirements. The qualifications still look little time because it's a flight critical component, but it's a good example of how smart manufacturing can be enabled through additive manufacturing. I will say that additive manufacturing is not going to replace the conventional manufacturing. It is, in fact, both the things will complement each other to address this smart manufacturing, which Industry 4.0 is eagerly looking at. We will remove some of the barriers which were there because of the conventional manufacturing. Maybe we'll come out with a very innovative designs which additive manufacturing can enable. But we will be complementing with the conventional way of doing the things. So without taking much time, I will get started with the first speaker, which is Abhinav. So Abhinav is the managing director at ThyssenKrupp Innovations. So he is the chief strategy officer as part of this. So he has been he's written a white paper on the adding up growth opportunities for ASEAN group. His MBA gold medal for finance and strategy from XLRI, and then of course he's basically a metallurgist. So he has looked at additive manufacturing as a technology, how it can help 4.0. His topic is on industrialization of additive manufacturing to take into the industry 4.4. Over to you, Abhinav.
Thank you, Dr. Kulkarni, for the introduction. Let me quickly share my screen. I'll need the sharing rights.
Yeah, Vivek can provide.
Yes, sir. Rights given to you, sir.
Yeah, perfect. Please let me know if you can see the presentation in full screen.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Great. So thank you again, Dr. Kulkarni, for the introduction. I lead our additive manufacturing business for ThyssenKrupp for the Asia Pacific region. And I wanted to cover two messages in my talk today. One, give a global and business perspective on how has been the adoption of additive manufacturing as a technology, and then also share some examples of what we are doing as a company, as a global German company, on using additive manufacturing and providing solutions to our customers. So if you look at the technology overall, it's been around for last 30 years, and it has shown a very solid growth progress. It's been growing in double digit. In the last 7 years, it has really accelerated and has moved from now a sheer prototyping technology to more and more towards small scale and now at industrial scale production. So we have seen more than 26% growth rate. And going forward, we see a very strong continued outlook for the technology. And fundamentally, this has been driven by three factors. We have seen declining cost of both the printers, materials, post-processing throughout the value chain. We are seeing more and more versatility of the kinds of parts, both in terms of size and materials which can be printed. And also, I would comment recently in the last few years, because of the macroeconomic developments of the trade wars and also last year of the COVID crisis, we are seeing an increased focus globally on localizing production, having more resilience in supply chain, focusing on sustainability for the planet. And all these are fundamentally favorable for additive manufacturing. So if I reflect on this journey, I think it's been a very strong, robust growth story. But if you put this in the context of the overall manufacturing opportunity globally, which as a lot of people also commented in the previous session is around 12-13 trillion dollars, it is only 0.1%. And most of the adoption of additive manufacturing has been restricted to 4 sectors. So we see a lot of adoption by aerospace, in automotive historically, and then dental and industrial tooling sectors. And our hypothesis is that this was driven primarily by a very clear-cut benefit of using the technology. So when you look at aerospace, for example, DFAM or design for additive manufacturing offers a completely unique capability to lightweight the parts, to reduce the number of sub-components required, and that translates into fuel savings, which can be easily quantified. Similarly, when it comes to medical or a healthcare sector, customization of prosthetics, implants, is extremely important, and there again the technology offers a very unique advantage. So while these sectors have been the early adopters because of a very clear business case of using the technology, we strongly believe as a company that there is tremendous opportunity in other sectors as well, and it is high time that we actually expand the pool of sectors which are actively using additive manufacturing, whether it is marine, maritime sector, industrial plant sector, or even consumer sectors for these applications. And part of this is driven by some of the myths which are still prevailing in the industry around how and what is the potential of technology. So when we talk to our customers, a lot of time we hear this feedback. It is only a prototyping technology, but that's not true. We have here an example from Boeing, but also in the previous session, we heard a lot of examples where 3D printed parts are put in applications. They're sent to space of all the places, right, for their applications, and that proves the amount of capability and maturity 3D printed parts already provide. Similarly, when it comes to critical applications, a lot of people feel it's only suitable for non-critical applications, but actually we have seen examples where 3D printed parts have been used at very high temperature, high pressure environments. And then the other common myth is too expensive for adoption. So here it is a very case-to-case evaluation, and I'll comment on this a bit more on where the technology makes sense commercially to adopt and where it does not. So for example, there are examples of parts where 3D printing has reduced the cost. In this case, an example from Volkswagen, from $900 to $23 for a wheel protection jig. along with the lead time savings. And similarly, in terms of sizes, as we keep on innovating the technology, we are seeing more and more printers coming up which can support large scale parts. And today we talk about building and housing construction using 3D printing. So if you reflect on what we saw through last year regarding the COVID crisis, there has been a huge push from businesses on industry to build more and more resilience in supply chain. And what that fundamentally means is how can we eliminate single sourcing of parts? How can we have an increased inventory of critical parts? How can we nearshore these parts closer to where we have to consume? How can we regionalize supply chains? And this wish list of supply chain heads and managers is exactly what the 3D printing or additive manufacturing technology meets. So this technology is fundamentally suitable for reducing number of subcomponents, reducing supply chain complexity, building a digital warehouse. We can give many examples, but we believe that with the current focus on supply chain resilience, actually additive manufacturing gets even further push and momentum to be adopted by businesses because it is a very proven methodology of building that resilience. And while it does that, it also becomes more sustainable because you have reduced material inputs, lower energy consumption, and lesser transportation volumes to be carried out. So this was an overview of how we see the industry and how has been the evolution of the technology. But now I wanted to switch topics and give you an example, a very practical example on how we are seeing this panning out for us and our customers. So we have been working on additive manufacturing for last 7-8 years as a company. And a couple of years back, we started focusing on maritime sector as one, apart from automotive and industrial plants, to use this technology. And we partnered with Wilhelmsen Ship Services, which is a big Nordic European company in the business of ship parts maintenance. And together with them, we offer an end-to-end solution to our customers to find parts for shipping vessels, port authorities, which can be 3D printed, design these parts, work with class societies like DNVGL, Lloyd's Register to actually test and assure that these parts are as good as a conventionally manufactured part, and then work with a huge set of partners who can print this part, provide the post-processing solution. We also have our own printing facilities in Germany and in Singapore, and finally do the fulfillment. So our belief is that when you set the whole ecosystem from discovery of these parts all the way to fulfillment, then it becomes very easy for our customers to adopt. And all of this is offered over a platform. There are two ways our shipping customers or maritime customers can talk to us. They can order parts from a catalog, which is put on a platform. They can log in and see what are the parts which can be 3D printed. And these are parts which are not just technically 3D printed, but also have a business advantage in terms of lower cost and faster lead times. Or they can ask for a custom part on demand where they can send a picture and some design specifications, and we can fabricate this part for them. So far we have seen more than 3,000 shipping vessels globally using this service. We work with a network of more than 30 fabrication partners in the region and globally, and we already have a catalog of 500 plus parts. And on the right hand side, you see some examples of what are these parts. So this comprises both of generic parts, which are not proprietary to a particular OEM or company, like the ventilation louvers, impellers, wing nuts, gear wheels, scrubber plugs, or also the OEM parts where we work with Japanese, Koreans, European OEMs to design their parts using additive manufacturing and put this on a platform. Here is one example of a part to make it more real for you on what the technology offers. So on the bottom left, you see a very conventional wall block, which has been produced in such a manner for last 30-40 years, and using design for additive manufacturing, using topology optimization. On the top right, you see a completely new design, which is 80% reduced in weight, has much better flow properties, low permeability, low flow losses, and much faster lead time. And we also got this certified by DNVGL, which is a testing and certification agency for maritime, to ensure that our customers understand that this is as good, if not better, than the conventional part. So I wanted to just end this note on or this talk on this note that as you think about adopting additive manufacturing or 3D printing, we need to focus a lot more on what is the business case behind adopting this technology. Then only it is sustainable, and then only it works for you and your customers. On the right hand side, you see an approach which we follow, where we look at what are the technical considerations of a part to be 3D printed, what is the supply chain implication, what's the business case, does it really create value compared to a conventional part or not? And if not, then we recommend not to be manufactured. Our belief is today a lot of parts can be technically 3D printed, but on an average, only 15% of these parts make a business sense, a commercial sense to be 3D printed, because they're able to lightweight it, because they're able to reduce the logistics cost, the inventory storage cost, and have a much longer product life, which is still a lot, by the way. We just to compare the contrast this, we said the penetration today is 0.1%, and already the technology is mature to give you a 10 to 15% penetration. So we still can grow 100 times, and it is up to us to find these applications and work together as an ecosystem to further grow this technology. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, and I'm happy to continue the discussion and answer any questions. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. There is a way we can support you as you think about additive manufacturing adoption. Thank you.
Thanks, Abhinav. Thanks for being on time. You touched upon the adoption of AM by the industry. What are the myths around the AM, and what needs to be done to clarify some of those myths, and also on the supply chain resilience and how that can be addressed through additive manufacturing. Thanks for that wonderful talk, Abhinav.